Hi, I wanted to touch base with you as I am having an ethical dilemma in my work with Nathan. To remind you, he's the Aboriginal client from a low socioeconomic area in the Northern Territory, and he's possibly facing ADHD or depression referred by his GP. I feel as though the dilemma here is a tension between two obligations in the APS Code of Ethics, B1.2, requiring me to work with my competence, which is limited by my Aboriginal cultural training or lack thereof, under propriety, and C 4.1 from the Code of Ethics, ensuring I don't exploit Nathan's vulnerabilities like possible historical mistrust, which comes under the principal integrity. Um, I've consulted the APS ethical guidelines for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to guide me. Um, and I'm also thinking about my values, so competence, integrity, and friendship, and how they might bias me towards two options. Um, One is to continue to work with Nathan while seeking guidance, and two is to refer him to a First Nations specialist. I want to explore these values and how they shape each option's pros and cons, especially considering my identity as a white English woman. And I want to come to a decision. Um, my drive for competence, B1.2 from the Code of Ethics, pushes me to want to provide quality care. And I think that option one, seeking your supervision as well as elder guidance and seeking out community programs for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, has the pro of building my cultural skills, which would support Nathan's needs through trust building methods like yarning, which is supported by Mullins and Kawaja 2019. A con, though, is possible limited access to elders in the community, which could hinder my learning. And option two, referring Nathan, offers the pro of specialist expertise addressing his possible historical mistrust from colonial trauma and but a con is the scarce specialists in a low socioeconomic area, risking delayed care and exploitation of Nathan's trust, which is again C 4.1 from the Code of Ethics. Um, my competence value might make me also doubt my skills, pushing a premature referral or avoiding asking for help to seem capable, risking overstepping my limits. The APS ethical guidelines, though, emphasize collaboration, hence why I wanted to talk to you about this. And integrity drives me to avoid exploitation, C 4.1 of the Code of Ethics. But as a white English woman, my identity carries significant weight due to the colonial history that has harmed Aboriginal communities like the Stolen Generation. Um, and Slew Settle 2021 backs this up as well. And Nathan may perceive me as representing this oppressive history, increasing his mistrust, especially given the power imbalance in our professional relationship. And this makes me hyper aware of cultural missteps, which could bias me possibly towards option two, referring Nathan for the pro of culturally specific care by a First Nations specialist, minimizing harm, um, to comply with C 4.1 of the Code of Ethics. However, a con is that Nathan might see this referral as me dismissing him or being unwilling to work with someone different, risking perceived racism, which Caruso et al. 2021 linked to increased psychological distress, which we want to avoid. And option one, continuing with guidance, though, has the pro of showing commitment by learning about Nathan's culture through community engagement, which is recommended by the APS ethical guidelines, specifically 2.1. A con is that without sufficient cultural knowledge, I might miss clinical needs, exploiting Nathan's trust. So I'm thinking to counter this, I'll consult the guidelines and communicate transparently to ensure non-exploitative, culturally safe practice. Um, and another value of mine is friendship. and it makes me want Nathan to feel comfortable. Um, he he dislikes standard assessments, which I understand is probably to do with cultural inappropriateness, which is also supported by Mullins and Kawaja 2019. And option one has the pro of building trust through culturally sensitive methods like yarning, avoiding exploitation. A con is avoiding assessments to maintain rapport, risking misdiagnoses and exploitation of Nathan's trust. And option two, though, offers the pro of a specialist aligned with Nathan's cultural needs. But a con is that a referral might feel like a rejection, increasing distress. And my identity as a white English woman heightens this risk, as Nathan might interpret referral as disengagement due to cultural differences. But I'll follow the APS ethical guidelines to hopefully build a balance between rapport and clinical rigor. I think going through these and my values and who I am, I think it does lead me towards option one, which is continuing with Nathan while seeking your supervision, elder guidance, and seeking out community services around his area. It builds my competence, B1.2, and avoids exploitation for C4.1. And it's doing this by fostering trust through cultural learning, supported by Mullins and Kawaja 2019. And my identity as a white English woman makes option two riskier. So, as a referral, it could be seen as a rejection, worsening Nathan's distress due to perceived racism, supported by Caruz et al. 2021. And option one offers more ways, I think, to support Nathan ethically while addressing my cultural limitations. So I'm seeking your guidance around this.